So, we're live. Good evening and welcome to the Land Bank Commission meeting. As hybrid meetings are new to us, please be patient with the process. Our hope is that going forward, every meeting will run more smoothly than the last. We are very pleased you are able to join us both in person and remotely tonight. We are using Zoom webinar for this meeting, which allows the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. The chair can request that the members of the public provide their names for purposes of keeping accurate minutes of the meeting. Attendees will join in listening mode, and we will ask that everyone display their names correctly. Attendees can click the raise hand button if they wish to speak. The chair will call on those who have raised their hands in the order they were raised. All questions should be directed through the chair. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that other people may be able to see you, and take care not to share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. So we're going to call to order the Nantucket Land Bank Commission regular meeting on June 24th, 2025 at 4:01 p.m. Can we get a motion to accept the agenda?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opening up with public comment and staff announcements. Staff announcements.
For staff announcements, I just wanted to let everyone know that the Land Bank has an article in Blue Living, and so that's why that is sitting by you. Susan nicely tagged it. And other than that, I think that's all I have to share today.
Do we have any public comments? Commenting for now. We have Jill Beeth. Hi, Jill.
Hi, I just want to make sure, I'm only on audio, I guess, but I just want to make sure that are you going to ask us if we can have something to say at agenda number 5? Or do we need to say that now? I didn't know if that was closed or open.
We will be allowing public comment on agenda number 5.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we will move on to golf business and turn it over to Tom.
Sconset Golf. So we opened Sconset Golf the 19th of May. So we ran it for about 2 weeks, you guys. This is a 2-week summary for Sconset Golf is what the numbers that you've currently got. So Sconset Golf rounds are down slightly and covers are down for the 2 weeks that we were open. Not surprising, but again, revenue's up 9%. So we had a lot of people come in, buy the season pass like they always do. It seemed to be in that 2 weeks more. They like to get out there. They like to be able to play. They want to start the leagues right away. So mostly that's why the revenue is up. Cost of goods is down, gross profits up, payroll's down, operating expenses down. I hate to skip through it, but it is pretty. 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks, you guys. So again, I think it's doing very Sconset-y things like it typically does. We've got some issues for sure with little problems here and there, but I think we'll come back to you guys at some point in time, with that. So we're dealing with a couple of things from the public, and we're gonna figure it out. Like we'll get back to you guys with some capital type of stuff. So one thing in this Sconset, the golf shop manager, for whatever reason is not syncing in with this. We can manually enter it, but I'd rather not be manually entering numbers. So I want to find out why first before we start to do that, but it wouldn't really change our numbers all that much, about $5,000. So, but that's just one issue that we've got with this report going forward. So we'll get that addressed as soon as possible. And that's it.
Who holds the title of manager? Is that Jack or?
Jack is basically the golf shop manager. Yes, he is the one. We have one person that's basically the go-to out there. And it's worked out really well, so.
Yeah, you did a great job last year.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good. Jack's really good at this. He's got some new people in again. The bar's fun. It's a nice little spot out there. You guys can get out there. The doors, you open up those doors out front. You've got that little porch out front. It's really, really nice spot. It's like Matt Scott.
Okay, you can hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, good. The only thing I'll add on Sconset is that we've already put up the fence blocking the walkway up the steep walkway up the hill. And we're still working on, as we talked about before, it'll be a fall or winter project. We're working on the ADA compliance with the handicap parking. And then Sean already mentioned it. We'll address it later on. We want to schedule a CapEx committee meeting to talk about the tees out there. As you'll recall, we had a plan that was really I think overblown, to put 4 or 5 sets of tees on every hole, which would change the character of the course and require a lot more irrigation. Now that we've addressed the irrigation side, we do want to revisit that plan, but probably in a scaled down version, maybe 2 forward tees. So it's not as expensive. The other one was multi-million dollars, as you might recall. So we're refining that, and we'll be back in touch after having a capital planning meeting for that. And our leagues are off and running. The men's leagues at Sconset are Thursdays, and the women's are on Tuesdays, and they're well attended.
Any questions on Sconset? Okay.
Comet Golf. My Comet Golf rounds are up for the month, but still down year to date. Covers are down for the month and year to date. Weather, I think we got caught, like I said, early in the season. Our February and March were both down. We ended up catching back up for a little bit there, but we just got behind a little bit. Revenue's down 2%. Cost of goods, last month, we started the new way of doing it, so we're hoping that it makes sense for Susan, because she hates the way that we used to do it. So we've done the 2 weeks from May, so we're going strong with this. Everybody's bought in, which is huge. Gross profit is off 3%. Now the good news, again, payroll's down, expenses are down, total expenses down 11%. So every department heads are buying into this. If we don't have the customers coming in, please figure it out and make it make sense for me, because Matt does not like it if it does not. If one does not equal 2, then we've got a problem. So it works out well for you guys right now. I think going forward, I think this is a positive. I've had to say it for the last few months now. I don't like to tell you guys bad numbers, but at the end, our income's up. So at the end of the day, our bottom number's the one that's doing well. So it's busy out there now. We had our first, one of many actually. This is not our first one, but our first one with good weather. Senior League. So Senior League goes out on Tuesdays. Men's League is on Wednesdays. Women's League is on Thursdays. The Senior League today is capped at 64 golfers. We had 84 that wanted to play. So we had to wait list 20 people. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to get a tee time. You just put your name in a list, mark it out. Oh, I want to play on Tuesdays in Senior League. That's it. Then we'll get a hold of you and say, this is your tee time. Knock yourself out. So it's nice that you don't have to get a tee time. You just say, I want to play next week. So we're finding that a lot of people obviously just want to do that. They match them up with different people. There's different ways to play. They have some fun with it, and it's a hit. Women's and men's are both getting to be bigger. At one point, I thought the men's league would die out, but it has not. So we've breathed some air back into it. They're both 9 holes and 18 holes, and we kind of have them finish at the same time so we can get everybody kind of in the clubhouse at the same time and have some camaraderie to the whole thing.
Yeah, so they finish at about 6 p.m. and our restaurant hours have been extended till 9 p.m. So we added an hour. We finish at 9 p.m. and we're now in the full swing of the season with lunches 7 days a week and dinners 5 days a week. So on Mondays we do an outdoor, similar to last year, we do an outside barbecue in Raw Bar on Mondays. We do not do dinner on Sundays and Monday evenings, but the rest of the week, Tuesday through Saturday, we've got the full dinner.
And again, we have a state-of-the-art irrigation system that's out there at My Comet Golf. It's each individual head is controlled. We can time anything. You can shut things off. You can make it do a lot of things. But to be honest with you, it's inefficient. It's not made to keep things alive this time of year. So instead of wasting water and turning the irrigation system up and down or try to maneuver it around, there's a lot of guys out there with hoses. So you're going to see a lot of guys out there with hoses doing the right thing and putting water in spots that need it instead of, something else that happens. So we were talking with Rachel and Christina this week and wanted to make sure that they were aware that it's getting drought, this is a tough spot, so.
Sean, we also use wetting agents, which help the soil and the plants hold on to moisture longer. It evaporates more slowly. So we're really trying to minimize, we understand the drought situation, so we're minimizing waters as best possible.
Yeah, so I think my comment's doing okay. I'm always hoping for better, but I think, now we're into the season, we'll see what happens. Right now, our June numbers look like they're gonna hit our number, I hope, our budget number anyways, but we'll know more in a little. It's almost over already.
I've yet to hear a single complaint. Well done.
Yeah.
We've had a couple little ones, but again, like we tried to get on it right away. So, if carts are parked in the wrong spot, we're gonna move those carts. If things are gonna come up, I love these. This is a problem we can solve.
Well,
Name tags.
A couple things I'll add. We had a meeting last night of the golf committee and received a lot of feedback and constructive input from them, which was all well taken, all relatively easily addressed stuff. And then on the 18th fairway, this spring, we started a slightly different mowing pattern to extend the fairway more to the left, where you can open up the sight lines and hopefully direct ball traffic away from the houses on the right. And so far it looks good. We have about an extra 20 feet of fairway on the left-hand side. I think it really is growing in nicely.
He was all happy with it.
So far, so good. Yeah, so far, so good. Like Matt says, you gotta keep your head on the swivel. At some point, you're gonna but again, we do get complaints and that's okay. Well, anything we can address, we'll address right away, as fast as we can. I want to get it over with. So you guys have been great to work with that. So. Okay. So I got.
Is the dining part of the report here, because my comment, dining is the best on the island. I don't want to tell everyone about it, but whoever's doing that deserves an awful lot out of it. We love it.
I will definitely tell Karen because she's good
But
at
is
this.
that part of your operation?
Yes.
Okay, so, thank you. Keep it up. Don't tell anyone.
I will tell you, it's the hardest part of our operation. Growing grass is easy on Nantucket.
Warrant authorization for the capital funds transfer request.
It might be inside that first one. Oh, here we go.
Okay, so I'm looking for approval for the warrant authorization, 82,644.15.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye. Are those league, like the men's league and the seniors league, is that public or is that all members?
Open to everyone.
Open to everybody.
All welcome.
He's not a senior.
Still there, is it?
That's right. That's right. Yep. It's everything that we're doing pretty much. We're really trying to keep it so it's open to everybody and that really.
And the key thing is you don't have to battle for a tee time. If you join the league, you're automatically slotted in there. So, you could really get your fill of golf without having to go through those challenges.
And do you rotate the ones that are on waitlisted for the next week?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll make sure they kind of get in somehow, whether we've got to, and maybe we've got to end up doing it more. It's got to be, maybe it goes from 64 to 84, maybe this is just what it's going to be. But I mean, well attended is. So
I'll tell you, compared to staying open for just public and regular play, it's actually, I want to call it a money loser, but it's a discount to us staying open for normal play. So it is kind of a community outreach program in many ways.
I'd just like to compliment you both on the balance, paying attention to the public and our other members. I mean, really, we just don't hear a thing, and the food's delicious, and the bar in Sconset is the best kept secret on the island. So I just definitely. Thank you.
I thought we had the cheapest beer, but I stopped by the American Legion the other day and saw that we will never beat those prices nor the atmosphere. Yeah.
No, you give it a pretty good run.
Sure.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
Sharon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, moving on to regular business, the outreach, Nantucket Land Bank outreach quarterly update. Our-
Yeah, so just, can I take a second? I think all of you have met Dana, but I'm not sure. So Dana, started with the land bank in this winter and, is our new outreach and communications coordinator. She's jumped in and is picking up where Emma left off and running with it. And, she works closely with Claire, who is also supervising her and does quite a bit of the outreach alongside Dana. So we'll be hearing from Dana tonight. And feel free to ask me questions. Just in case you don't know everyone, Christina Jeleny, John Stackpole, Mark Donato, Neil Patterson, and Ellen Whitmer. Awesome. Although you know them all by picture because you created them.
Don't have my-
I've seen you in the Hayes Cottage.
Not there. You don't have my photo, do you?
Yes.
Perhaps you found one that was just fabulous and put it up. You should go look.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel. Hi, everyone. I'm Dana. So as Rachel was saying, I am the new outreach and communications coordinator here at the Land Bank. And so I just wanted to give some updates on the work that we've been doing.
So, sorry, Dana.
Sometimes this is incredibly challenging. Sometimes it takes an extra second. Just have to hang on while Susan gets all the ducks in a row and
All
we're
right.
good to go.
Like, drag it over there.
So did you compose the letter, explaining the Galley Beach purchase that you,
The Brand Point Association.
Grand Point Association?
Yeah,
That was really well written.
good. Thank you.
Would you run this yourself?
I would love to. Thank you. Awesome. So to start, when I started in this role, we wanted to have a clear goal, right? Like, what am I working to achieve in the communications and outsource coordinator role? And so we came up with having the work that I'm doing create more awareness and understanding just of what the land bank is, right? How we operate within our Nantucket community. And to do that, I am working to communicate effectively, just to keep the conversation open about everything that we're doing, to keep the public informed, and to have a good relationship with the Nantucket community in general. And so how were we doing that? So I broke it down into 3 steps. So the first step is our identity. I wanted to reinforce our land bank logo and our mission to establish a connection and become more recognizable and more familiar. Step 2 is our engagement. So I have been working to create opportunities for the public to come out and visit land bank properties, to engage with the properties and also with us as a whole. And then the third step is our internal communication. The land bank has grown exponentially over the last few years, as many of you have seen. And so it's my job to keep everyone informed and updated regularly on the happenings and all the work that everyone's doing in order to keep everyone connected. So to go a little bit deeper into that, to bolster our identity, I wanted to get our name and our logo and our mission out in just as many different facets as I could. So I started with an advertisement on the High Line in Spanish. It ran from March to the middle of June for the working Nantucketers who are the main customer base during the winter. It was simple, showcased our logo, and a simple urge to get out and explore. I'm also went into print media. So in front of you guys, as you see the blue dot living, we wanted to keep the connection that we have with our environmental friendly community. So we have a 1/2-page ad in the blue dot, and then we also have an article highlighting the Hinsdale Park property that we have. So this is like an eco-conscious magazine, highlights environmental friendly and sustainable tips and articles. And we thought that Hinsdale would be a super great property to highlight in that because it hits on all 3 facets of our mission. And then, as you may have seen before, every time that we have an event, we create posters for them in all different languages to keep it inclusive of all of our major communities on Nantucket. And then I post all of these posters around town at places like the Hub, the Trading Post, and in all of our schools to make sure it gets out. And then, as we talked about before, we have our posters in the Hayes Cottage with all of your faces on it. Just trying to really, again, just get the word out about what the land bank is, what we do, and just simply informational and just explaining the land bank as a whole. We're also on the radio. I'm not sure if you guys have listened, 97.7 and on El Pinguino. It's just a simple talking about the land bank, urging people to get out and explore. We're in a bunch of different media as well. We have our monthly newsletter, Instagram, Facebook. We're just trying to get our message out there and trying to make what they are. And then when we are creating opportunities for people to come to land bank properties, we're showing them that the land bank land is for public use, right? And we're getting people to properties that they may have not been to before, and then motivating them to get out and engage and explore more of our land bank land. And so we're engaging with the community by doing things like we had a bilingual seed starting workshop. Isaac and I went to the elementary school and did a seed workshop with the kindergartners and first graders there. Some of the fifth graders did an off-island field trip. And so the kids who didn't get to go on the off-island field trip, Isaac and I brought them to my grandfather's farm so that they got to have an on-island field trip as well, which is super great. As many of you know, we had our family picnic a few weeks ago, super successful. We had over 500 people there. And even I heard at the family picnic, a bunch of people saying it was their first time at the creeks or that they didn't even know they could be there. So it shows that it's working, right? People are coming to our properties, people are engaging. And we're just trying to connect with our community at that grassroots level to inspire them to continue to use the land bank land and our resources. And then the third line, our internal communication. I know it can get super easy when it comes summertime to everyone gets busy and loses touch with each department. So every Friday I send out an email just highlighting what each department was up to all week, including photos just to keep everyone connected again. We have staff lunches where people can mingle and catch up with one another alongside weekly multi-department meetings. And then to bolster some team bonding, we did group cleanup efforts. So we cleaned up Hansu Springs altogether. And then next on our schedule is Mill Hill. And then last but not least, Susan is great and keeps us up to date on all the commission meetings so that internally we know what's going on here and then externally with the public as well. And then I created a little video just to some slides of the things that we've already done this year and overlaying it with my 97.7 ad. Yeah.
Killer, you didn't mention, are we gonna continue with the Dreamland? I think that what we put up on the screen is really effective and hits a lot of people.
We were talking about that. We need to find that video to then have that back, but we were talking about finding that video to hopefully research it.
We had 3 of them that were.
Oh, we have
So you're
three.
gonna update.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's 3, there's agriculture, recreation, and
We
conservation.
actually have a ton of extra footage too that we could use. So, but we were looking at, we already have right now.
Out of interest, how many languages do, obviously English, Spanish?
English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Bulgarian.
Nice.
Yes, we post that at least on our social media, so that gets out. And then I've been posting mostly the English and the Spanish ones all around town when I have it.
Do you have any way that you're, any numbers or dynamics that you're using to measure your success? Like whether it's increase in Facebook hits or, you know, do you have any data on that?
So our Creeks family picnic, last year we had almost 300, I think.
Yeah.
And this year we had 524 people come to our family picnic. We are almost at 5,000 followers on Instagram. When I started, it was very much close to 4. And small things like that. Our subscribers to the newsletter is up by like 2%. A little.
I want to just add that you send out the Friday email, which I love. So there's a Friday email that goes to the entire staff. It's sort of a recapitulation of all things that have happened during the week. It sort of focuses on the resource department and what they've been doing and the environmental piece, which I, who's stuck at my desk, love to hear about. And there she has photos. Emily used to do it, but now she's taken over. So it's not overly scientific, but there's a scientific piece. Not that Emily was overly scientific, but it was very much more in the weeds with that stuff. But I love that. So I just want to commend you on that because those of us who are stuck at our desks in touch with what's going on out in the more beautiful, the many beautiful land bank properties.
Those of you who wear 2 pairs of glasses.
Yeah.
This is my morning glasses. I wanted to just add on what Ellen just said, which is that internal communications has become a part. When we first hired Dana, we said we really need to up our internal communications because what we recognize is that as we grow, right, we get, and we don't all have, we're not all in the same office. We're all over the island. You don't see people for days at a time. So trying to keep the staff connected and aware of what's going on has just really been huge. And there's a lot of different ways it's happening now, but it was really built from the idea that, Dana, when we hired her, sort of spearhead this internal communications campaign. So in addition to external, which of course we know is hugely important.
Well, we still get a lot of questions because of purchasing Galley Beach was our largest purchase ever, I guess. Anyway, your letter explained it so well to Brant Point Association. I'd like to see that letter go actually further than just to the Brant. I now keep it. People are asking me questions to focus on and come up with the correct answer. So
I'm glad.
Thank you. Great presentation. Okay. Property management, various property projects update.
Thank you so much, Dana and Claire.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
So you.
Sure, thank you. There. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I was asked to do or it became apparent that we needed to do a little bit of a project update. When I sat down to do this, I really want to commend staff because what I looked at was the last project update that we did 2 years ago. And, we always have a ton of ongoing projects and you're going to see that I'm really just going to highlight a few today. But what I found is that all these ones that are crossed out are things that we've done. And basically everything that has a red star is underway. This is underway, that's underway. This is on hold for a good reason. This is in like a feasibility study. This is underway, this is underway. So all these, I'm just amazed, right? All these things have happened and the ones that I've crossed off are completely done, right? So that was huge. That was the property projects. And then I went on to the building projects and I sort of found the same thing, right? That everything that's crossed off is done. Everything that's starred, I'm going to talk about today. And then some of these things like, solar panels or a farmhouse basement apartment are still out there for consideration. I will tell you too, that there are a few that I crossed off in here that were things we're actually just probably not going to be doing. We vetted it, we decided it doesn't make sense. And so we crossed it off the list. But this is a great running list and it did give me a sense of pride when I looked at it and what had been accomplished, particularly on this page. So I just wanted to highlight that for the commission. And then jumping into the projects that I am gonna just discuss briefly, and I'm happy to take any questions, frankly, on any projects. But just starting with Lily Pond, we have started to work in this area. We've started the invasive species work, and so there's been quite a bit of clearing and invasive species management that's going on. So we've definitely been working with neighbors to say this is happening, but the actual construction component of the project isn't really slated to start until next February, so. So this is the timeline right now, which we're in June, July, August 2025. Unfortunately, we're a little stuck in permitting. We're hung up right now and we didn't really anticipate it being quite so slow. And if I told you why, it's absurd. But sometimes life is like that. And so really at this point in planning and everything we've done through invasive species management, we've spent, right around $730,000 or $740,000, and the approximate total cost of the project is still slated to be around $5.5 million.
And 85 has come back in grant money.
Yes,
Another 517 waiting for.
Yes. Thank you for adding that. Yeah, so we're slated to get, again, about $640,000 in grant money for this project. So,
You've budgeted for this, obviously, and set the money aside.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's a quick update on Lily Pond. This is 41 Jefferson, which has been a popular topic these days. What I want to point out though is, the fact that actually somebody said to me yesterday that this is the best property we'd ever purchased. And I think part of the reason is because, interestingly enough, as we've removed fencing, there's been an increase in fencing over on the other side. And an increase in signage that basically says, this is private and please stay to the high tide line. And so this is what it looks like right now. These are some of our first customers. We've removed a section of fencing here. We're considering removing another one, and we took down a bunch of fencing here. We've separated the residences with snow fencing. And as you know, these are all inhabited for the summer. This is actually something we haven't spent any money on yet. We do have a study ongoing right now as to where we're going to relocate these, but we haven't spent any money on that. But it has been initiated. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of a, this is what it looked like, a little bit of all the way around around the clock, I guess. But this is what it looked like this spring. And then this is where we've started to take down some fencing. This is into our residential area. We have no public access. We have public access signs that point to go in here. And then Neil, you had a question about this today. This is at the Conservation Commission on Thursday, where it's going to be heard to whether or not we can have permission to extend the town's boardwalk and then hook it at 90-degree angle over to our property, and then install a bit of a platform for a turning radius if you're a wheelchair or something like that. So, it really truly increasing accessibility at this property as well. And actually, the reason the person complimented the property so highly was because it was so accessible. That's what they were saying. They could park and get to the beach, and have it not be something that was very, very challenging to do.
There's very few places on the island where you can if you're using a wheelchair.
Right.
I'm particularly happy that this one hopefully will pass.
I hope so too. So, and we talked to the town about it because it's their boardwalk that goes to here, and we're going to collaborate on this. So that's 41 Jefferson, and that's where everything is at. I would, if you get a chance, go down and check it out and let us know what you think.
Before we move on from this one, because I had someone contact me today and say, why is it no parking when Land Bank voted? We have a no parking sign up in the parking lot?
We do, because
it's still residential.
Yeah, because right now this is residential. By next year, it'll be totally open.
Okay.
Yep. But for right now, it is for the residences.
And actually, I didn't get contacted. I saw going back and forth on social media, and everybody was second guessing us what we were doing.
I've been working next door, and the person asked for a tour, and I brought them down there, and he had a question: is there going to be more parking or less once the buildings go?
So, We are working with Art Gasparo actually to start developing that. I think the intention is to have more parking. We have to, you know, but I think that's really up to the commission. We basically, from a resource area perspective, we're probably constrained to the footprint of the existing buildings and the existing parking. But I think that's really up to the commission at some point as to how much
They
parking.
were very
they think makes
complimentary and
sense.
they were really happy that we had bought it.
Yep.
Because they're very concerned it was going to become a private Club Med or something.
Right. So, yeah, it is hard that this year we don't have additional parking, but it really is because there's town and Land Bank employees
Right.
in the housing.
That's okay, because I never wait those things to happen overnight, just that will happen.
Yes, 100% that will happen, so. Okay, so skipping right along, I'm gonna go through these pretty quick, so. 16 and 19 East Creek, we talked about this. I have talked to, PAR about working with us, and working with Scape, but it's primarily gonna be PAR to complete a cost estimate, which they should have done by mid-July, because that was the marching orders. It's actually a gentleman named Todd Turcott, who's a coastal waterfront engineer, and we worked with him when he worked at Coastal Engineering, which is now Ty and Bond, and then he left and became one of the primaries at PAR. And he's just kind of an impressive person who can really think things through and does a great job. So we tagged him for this and asked if he would be interested. He worked on this project previously when he was at Coastal, and
Sorry, follow up. Is Scape still involved?
Scape is still involved, but very minorly so. Right now, all the work that we really have to do is with PAR for the engineering and the costing. So they are still involved, but very minorly. So we do have, the reason that cost is so high is because we do have, you know, a full set of schematic design plans. And so we have that completed for this project. So really what we need to do is take a look at the costs and then think through how we want to, if we want to change anything, how we want to change things, and then have work with PAR to do additional drawings associated with that so that we can permit the project.
I personally think it's unbelievably expensive and I would take a giant sharp pencil and start cutting. I just feel just over the top for an area that's not visible from anywhere unless you actually know to go there.
Right.
With minimal parking.
So we'll be able to have real numbers. That was the problem, was that we were looking at 2-year-old numbers. So by mid-July, we'll be able to have real numbers to determine what we want to do and what we want to cut.
Yes, that opportunity will be yours.
Thank you.
And yes, we have spent a fair amount of money on the project already, so. Okay, this is the bike park, and this is an interesting one. Right now, based on our last meeting, we have a working budget of not to exceed $2 million. To date, we have spent about 47,000 on planning. We've spent a kind of an excessive amount of time in planning, but I think it's gonna make it better in the long run. This is currently the plan. What we did was we shifted the whole thing from one area on the site to a totally different area, and really kind of pared it back. So we also have phase 1 and phase 2 concepts now. And the only thing that I was looking at that I was thinking about today is that this is our timeline, and I don't know if it's possible, but if the commission wanted to see this happen faster, I would be willing to ask Horsley Witten if they thought it could happen faster, because I don't love that construction starts in July of 2026. It seems like a really long time away. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. I can't guarantee that they're gonna say, yeah, we can fast track it, but for me, it just felt really far away.
It's too far.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know.
They
Okay.
should be able to fast track that.
Okay, so I'll ask them if we can tighten up this timeline. I feel like we've done a lot of due diligence, which will help compact the timeline on the backside at this point. So, okay, so that is there. Next is the NRSA, and this This is the Nantucket Racket Sports Association. I put in a picture of pickleball and a picture of padel because they're easily confused, and I, for a long time, didn't even understand what padel was. And there's actually no padel courts on Nantucket, so this would be new. We have a bid for $1.7 million, which has not been awarded yet. But the NRSA is planning to attend the July 8th meeting to discuss this with the commission and to update the commission on where they're at. Currently, Land Bank has spent, close to $60,000 on this project. And just to give you a little bit of an overview, I'm just going to do the highlights. There's 4 pickleball courts here and 2 padel courts here. And then there's actually a substantial amount of increased parking back in here. This is the existing facility up here, and this is Hinsdale Road way down here, just to orient you. So just as a reminder, this is the project itself.
So this is a private club, kind of quasi-private.
These would be really good questions for the NRSA, and I'm happy, I think it probably would, I don't mind actually collecting questions now that I could then convey to them. I think in theory, they're public. I'm not exactly sure how you get in, but I don't know that myself.
I just think of the slippery path of favoring one very worthwhile charity, non-profit over others and setting a precedent. That's as one commissioner, would be my concern.
This is not a charity nonprofit, is it?
This is a not-for-profit, but it is within recreation.
Right.
But yes, yes.
Okay, if you're making a list of questions.
Yeah.
Neil brought it up a long time ago, and I agree with him. Padel, we'd never heard of. Why aren't we looking at one of those being a tennis court instead? And but that never got traction, I guess, huh?
Right.
That's a good question.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Would you like to know? I think what happened was for the last couple of years, they're supposed to come and do yearly updates, just like the farmers and everyone else who has licenses on our property, sustainable. And I think that maybe didn't happen in the last couple of years. So I think it's just good to have them come and update you with, they do have a membership, how they advertise their, I'm thinking tea times, but it's not tea times, right? How they advertise their court times and costs of membership, costs of court times if you're public.
Yeah. Will there be an increase in the number of members when we go ahead with this project? I'd like to know the answer to that.
I don't know if you'd like to add.
Just as to the tennis.
Yeah.
This was looked at. There were a couple of elements that precluded them from including it in this build out, which was 1, cost and maintenance. 2, there are public tennis courts available, especially at the jetties and the schools. Whereas this pickle and padel does not exist really anywhere else in terms of public. So this was considered to be a more appropriate build out of this expansion of this facility in terms of the attraction to people who cannot access this type of activity elsewhere.
But they do have pickleball now at the town.
A little bit, yeah, but it's not massive, and this is, they're going to expand it to quite a number of courts.
What is the cost of 2? Padel?
Padel.
Courts versus 1 tennis court, and would that 1 tennis court fit in the space of the 2 padel?
I do know they're going to get 1 padel court for free, I believe.
No, I think
That's changed. Okay.
I've had that, but then rescinded the person. Maybe you can get it again, but
Padel
Free
versus
court.
tennis.
the free padel court, it would still have to be installed and assembled and so forth, but it's, as far as I know, that offer was taken with.
So we do have a question from the public, but we will let the commission speak. Any other questions?
That was the only ones that I had. So.
And they'll be attending next meeting.
Yep, they'll be attending next meeting. So to be quite honest with you, some of these things I believe I would know the answers to, but I just kind of want to let them speak for themselves. So I'm just collecting questions.
So, yes, but Quinn, do you have a question?
Hi, Quinn here. No question, just wanted to point out that the NRSA is open to the public.
Okay. Great, thank you. They'll be able to explain that in a little bit more detail in the presentation.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I am concerned about the bike park and liability. I've looked at the plans and, is that gonna be supervised or controlled, or are people just gonna go in there? Because some kid goes in and gets hurt. There's liability, and how are you addressing that?
Happy to answer that. So we've actually visited and or talked with, other groups that run bike parks throughout New England. And actually, we just recently met with somebody who runs a bike park, Arapahoe County in Colorado. And they are not necessarily supervised at all times. And basically the way it worked was that the bike park was fenced and you could lock the fence, and or the gate. And, that was sort of the maximum amount of supervision. I think the other thing that I would say is that, it is true that you can get hurt at a bike park. You can also get hurt at a playground. We have pickle and padel courts on land bank property. And so, you know, there is, there's risks in any outdoor activity. And, we are insured and compensate them for it, but we're listed on the town's insurance policy. And so that's
So
how,
it's unsupervised.
yeah.
Can I follow up? If it's free like a bike park, then we don't have that same liability as it would be, if you fell on our trail. You can't sue us over that because I'm just
I think
Because you're not sure.
it's a concern.
not sure.
Right, so we look forward to hearing from the other side. She has one presentation, but
I have a couple more things, just a couple of other updates. So this is our Somerset Road, and 166 Hummock Pond Road Maintenance Facility improvements and housing improvements, sort of a weird jumbled project. But just as a reminder, it includes having, basically another barn similar to this with a lower roof line at Hummock Pond Road, and then a 3-bay of these over here at Somerset Road with offices for the environmental department. And then it also includes a potential for a duplex at 166 Hummock Pond Road. This is currently how the design and service contract is underway, and we've basically spec'd a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom duplex at 166 Hummock Pond Road, a 5-bay barn for cold storage, and a 3-bay barn with office space at 125 Somerset. To date, we spent about $73,000 at Somerset and about $60,000 at Hummock Pond Road. The actual estimation for the estimated cost for the whole project is approximately $9 million, but we will be getting a better number going forward. And again, we're working on this now, and so we'll be moving forward and you'll be seeing plans.
And could you put this in phases so you could do it over the year, or do you have to bite the $9 million bullet?
I think it would be good to wait to see how much it comes in at first before we make any decisions. It's not very efficient to phase this, but
Right. Fair question.
yeah, but I do think we should, but it's a good question. And I think we should wait to see what our number is
And a quick follow-up, have we abandoned the basement apartment?
at the farmhouse.
Yeah.
We have not. That was still on there. We just haven't done anything about it.
That came in at over $1 million. I remember,
That's correct.
Yep.
which I thought was pretty pricey even by public procurement standards.
Yeah, I think we went back and looked at that, and I think we would change it up a little bit. So it's currently, it was shown as like a 2-bedroom basement apartment, and we went down and looked at it, and it's clearly like a 1-bedroom space. And there's a couple of things you could do to really minimize cost. And we just looked at the way there's some alignment where we could bring water down and and move the washer and dryer upstairs to where the fridge is. So anyways, there's some logistics that we came up with, and we could certainly revisit that if the commission wanted to. Happy to do that. I feel like we could probably cut the costs on that project.
We don't have a need for it right now, is why you sort of push it on the back burner, right? So,
We don't have a need for it right now, yes.
okay. So, yeah, I guess that's not forward thinking if we don't.
This very second, we do not have a need for it. It is probably at this point our easiest conversion to housing. And least expensive, but you would probably most logically only get one bedroom out of it. But we do need one bedrooms.
Could you do it in-house in the winter?
There is potential for something like that, yes. That was one of the ways that we had looked at
Thank you.
cutting costs, is doing it in-house. Yep, so that's a pretty big project. Again, you'll be seeing plans for that. And then I just wanted to remind everyone that we're still involved in the Washington Street Work Group. And this is a hugely long-term planning project. We're picking away at it. Right now, we're focused on kind of this Francis Street area. And we're sharing with the town. This money that has been spent to date, a very small portion of it is on this Francis Street Beach Improvement Project. But right now we're sharing everything with the town, and we're moving forward. And what we're doing right now, is we're actually working quite a bit with Todd Turcott, also from Pear. We just switched engineers to his company, and we're going to work with him to come up with a plan that's permittable here, with some sort of, rise basically under a boardwalk that's actually permittable through the state level regulations. So that's where that's at. And these are open meetings, and anyone is welcome to come.
So we're committed to a 50-50 split.
It's
of
not
this,
quite, yes, it's not quite 500,000, but
But
yes.
not necessarily going forward with the whole project.
Yep, so right now we're committed to a 50-50 split with this, and then we can go from there. So that was it for my project update. Stop sharing.
Are there any other projects or questions that come up?
No, that's a good question. Thank you.
Next on the list is request for authorization to explore indoor recreation and land bank act constraints. Rachel?
Sure. Okay, so I think this has come up so many times at a community level that I wanted to basically be transparent with the commission and say, is this something that I could basically request permission to explore what constraints we have on indoor recreation. We know we have some, right? Right now, the different types of regulations and governing bodies that we're beholden to are Article 97, the Public Lands Protection Act, the Land Bank Act and associated regulations, and any commissioner policies that are made at a local level as well. So we have a huge variety of things that we need to explore to see whether or not indoor recreation is even possible for us. And so just doing a little bit more research to be able to answer the question a little bit better was something that I was interested in doing, so that I have an actual valid answer as to how and what we can do. And that was why I was asking, and I'm happy to answer any questions or.
So let's start with the commission first, and then we'll go to public. Does anybody have any questions?
No, I think we need to find out the answers.
Yeah. Well said, John. Yeah, I'm glad we're exploring it. I've been wanting to look into this, but we don't know the answers, so.
I'd echo my fellow commissioners. I'm interested in hearing what the public expects and wants. I think it's important for us as elected officials to be receptive.
Yeah, I see all that. However, when you read our act that created the land bank, it's pretty specific in terms of the things we can and can't do. And I think that, it's important to recognize that. I understand the public pressure, but, anyway, we are governed by the Land Bank Act and the various other, conservation laws that we need to follow as well with regard to what we can and cannot do with our properties, so.
And I'd just like to appreciate and recognize Rachel for asking the question and getting us to a point where we're informed, so that we can make informed decisions. So, and I personally look towards the staff to resolve those questions to bring to us as a commission so that we can respond to the public. And with that, if nobody else has any other questions, we can turn to public.
I don't have any questions, but I do think that things change. The Land Bank Act was many decades ago and times have changed. And so I don't know what's gonna happen, how this is all gonna play out, but that's why the public is coming to us, because things have changed with people on the island. They're in need of indoor recreation, so they're coming to us. Anyway, I'll keep an open mind. We can switch with the times if need be.
It's clearly a community need. I think all of us would agree with that, so.
Okay, Denise, I believe you were the first one. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. And I'm speaking as a private citizen, not as the chair of Finance Committee. Well, the outgoing chair in any case. So I am very happy to hear that you're going to consider being able to have an indoor recreation center. When I take a look at the benefits, and there's a lot of research out there in respect of how communities thrive when there are indoor recreation centers. It promotes community wellness. It fosters a sense of social connections that you wouldn't possibly make in other places, such as Stop and Shop, for example. And it supports youth development. And then I took a look at the numbers because, numbers tell a story. And according to the census.gov in 2024, Nantucket's population is 14,670. And when I look at between the age groups of 5 to 18, which is about 3,000 people, and 18 to 65 is another 8,300 people, that represents 77% of the community. Now, I accept and acknowledge that the Boys and Girls Club is there for, from first grade to 12th grade. And in 2023, 1,352 kids were able to make use of the Boys and Girls Club, which is about 45%. Now, when I add in the folks who are over 65, then it brings us up to 94% of the population would actually be able to make use of this center. And I just think, as Mark just pointed out, times have evolved, times have changed, and I was here this winter. I'm here every winter. I would rather be indoors on some of these events. So I thank you for considering my comments, and I am very happy that the Land Bank is going forward with considering if this could be a possibility and a great enhancement to the community brought by an organization that is clearly respected and valued here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Denise. We have next Jill. Jill, would
Hi,
you like to
can you hear
comment?
me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. No, hold on 1 sec.
She has permission to talk. I don't know why.
Am I on mute?
Hang on for 1 second, Jill. We're working through the technical difficulties.
Okay, maybe.
Maybe we can allow you to talk. Okay, go ahead.
You're
Okay.
on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for your patience.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for opening up this discussion. I think, I was pretty disappointed when you all took a vote against indoor recreation a couple of years ago, to be quite honest. And I was surprised because you have indoor recreation now. You have a bar, you have a restaurant, you have a pro shop, you house golf carts. We just saw the buildings that Rachel is having to manage and maintain. And I really think a lot of the projects that you've done, and they're good. The golf is great. People love it. I'll add it's very expensive, so I don't think it's all that accessible to a lot of people, to be honest. But you're addressing a lot of subpopulations. And I think an indoor rec center would address the whole population here. And I think that's what really appeals to me, is to bring people together in the community of all ages and stages and backgrounds and languages. We really need that here. We need a way to really bring people together, like Denise said, somewhere other than Stop and Shop. And in the winter and when it's gray, and it's so nice to see people of all ages. We see that at NRSA a little bit, but not everybody wants to play, paddle. It's really hard. I'm 53 and I can tell you, it's getting harder every year. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I've got to find, something else. So I really, really hope you'll take this seriously and really look at it as a community island-wide benefit for everybody. It's for seasonal residents, year-round residents, visitors. I mean, there are just so many different things we can do, and what you do very well. And so that's why I really think you are the best people to take a look at this, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jill. We're figuring out the technology. Next we have Cameron Murphy.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. Cameron Murphy. I am a year-round community member, and I am one of many young adults that calls Nantucket home through all 4 seasons. And I am here to speak in strong support of considering the idea of an indoor rec center, whether that be a turf field, a sport court, a track.
Can you speak up a little bit more, Cameron, please?
I'll get a little closer to the mic. Is that better?
A little bit better.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think that there's a real gap right now in accessible and reliable recreation space on island, and a weatherproof, consistent surface would be super helpful. It would get used all the time, and it would go a long way supporting the well-being of our population here year-round. And it's not just about the sports, but it's about building community and making the island a little bit more livable for those of us who call it home through all 12 months. It seems like the land bank has the fiscal means to make this a reality, and I hope that that's something you all can help with. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron. Next, we have,
Does he want to talk?
Graham.
Hi, yeah, this is Graham Veazey. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I again want to reiterate what everyone else has said, that we really thank you for even opening up this discussion and allowing us to be part of it, and for considering this. I'm not as good as off the cuff as Cam, Denise, and Jill were, so I'm just going to read from my notes. But my name is Graham Veazey, and I'm here today as a parent of 3 girls, a neighbor, a coach, and someone who deeply cares about the future of this island and the kids being raised here. As many of you know, raising children in a place as beautiful and unique as this comes with many gifts, but it also comes with some real challenges. One of the biggest, what to do when the weather turns. How many of us have had games, practices, or even just afternoon playtime rained out again and again? Our kids love being active. They thrive when they're moving, connecting, and playing. But right now, we don't have a reliable place to go when the skies opens up and the temperatures drop. An indoor recreation facility wouldn't just be a convenience, it would be a game changer. It would give our kids a safe, healthy space to play, practice, and stay engaged. It would be a place where a rainy day doesn't mean disappointment, but opportunity. A place where teams can stay sharp, especially friendships can grow, and parents have peace of mind knowing their kids have somewhere to go, especially when outside isn't an option. I've seen firsthand how impactful a space like this can be. The NRSA, which is built on land bank property, has become a cornerstone in our family's life, a place where young and old come together to play racket sports, to connect and stay active. It's been instrumental to our family's well-being, not just physically, but mentally and socially too. It's proof that when you build thoughtful, inclusive spaces, the community shows up and thrives. An indoor facility could be a resource for everyone on the island. It could be a place for fitness classes, senior walking groups, community events, rainy day gatherings, and so much more. A space like this could become a heartbeat for the island, a place that brings people together, keeps us healthy, and help support year-round activity. It's about building something lasting, something that shows we believe in investing, not just in the next generation, but in this generation, in all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. I think we have one last person. Carolyn, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you very much.
One moment.
Hold on.
Okay, you're back on.
Thank you. It's Caroline Baltzer. And I just wanted to thank you, like the others, for being interested in what the public is thinking about. I really appreciate that. I just wanted to say that I've heard from a lot of natives, and I am a little bit speaking as a clinical psychologist, which is my profession, thinking about public health. But I've heard from quite a few natives that there's a lot of diminishment in the places where they used to gather over the years, and that some have referred to that as, you know, the pushing out of middle classes, and I'm concerned about that. And I think that having an indoor rec center would be wonderful for the public health of Nantucket to restore some of what's been lost, the gathering places and the gathering events and the rhythm. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's another one.
We have another one, and then if there's anything new that people would like to say,
Another one after that.
so, I think we have Kate. We're definitely getting a theme here. So if there's something new to add to it, Kate? Yeah. Is Kate on?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I am outside, so just let me know if you need me to speak up. Like Graham mentioned, I'm also raising 2 young athletes on the island. I also come with a voice as a registered nurse in the emergency department. I also have coached at the Nantucket Soccer Club for the past 5 years, at the Boys and Girls Club in basketball for the past couple of years. So I truly work with the inspirational aspect of this community, and I think that's something that's very important to bring up. Is that, you know, if you look at research of intergenerational play, which would be, you know, all ages of play, I think this indoor facility could really tap into all of those, the different decades and the different generations. It boosts brain health by supporting that social connectedness across the decades that span our island. So, you know, you have a lot of young families raising kids out here, and you have a lot of people into their 60s, 70s, and 80s who are calling Nantucket home. And I really think it could be a beautiful way for all of those generations to come together for the purpose of, you know, meaning and mental health, which is something that has taken a look, you know, a big hit that I've seen firsthand in my work in the past 10 years. So just making a point that it's something that can be used from, you know, age 5, depending on programming, to all the way into your 80s and 90s and beyond. A great way to really bring the entire community together.
Okay.
Okay, can I have your last name for the minutes?
Sure. It's Garrett, Garrette.
Thank you.
Yep.
Nikki?
Okay, we have one more. Unfortunately, the sound is a little bit hard, but we do have closed captions, so
Hi.
follow along. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak here. So I'm actually Nikki Drew. I am speaking as a citizen, as well as I am co-chair on the Parks and Rec Commission. So I joined the Parks and Rec Commission for one of the big reasons to actually try and push for something like this. I'm in the fitness and wellness business. I'm the fitness director at Great Harbor Yacht Club. So obviously that is my passion. But it isn't just about fitness. It is definitely a lot of mental health. I've seen quite a lot happen being of my years in the fitness industry. Exactly how, you know, when COVID was happening, how much it affected people, and definitely youngsters for sure. But more to the point, the elderly population. And, you know, our elderly, the land bank is amazing. All of the trails, I absolutely love all the trails at my age and all of that. But the elderly can't get out. They can't get out on those trails. You know, I have a couple of disabled friends who are unable to, they would love to. They can get along in the, in the summertime when the weather's nice. But if there's any kind of wet or frost, and we've had a couple of bad winters, let's be honest. And, I really think it's important that even just for the elderly population to be able to walk around a track with their friends. If we did have a track there, I think that would be amazing. We don't have a mall. We don't, the Hyannis Mall over on the Cape, people walking around the mall, we don't have that. We don't have the luxury of that. And I just think it would be an incredible thing to have, just to get every single member of our community here to be able to do something in the wintertime, whereas now we can't. It's isolating for a lot of people. And I think it would be awesome if something was able to be done. And I do really appreciate your time and letting us, and you being open to listening to the community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikki. We have 4 other people with their hands up. Christy, we have not heard from. If you do have something new to add, we can take your call, but if it's to support, I think we've heard a lot of that. Christy, do you have something new to add?
Thank you. It's Christy Ferrantella. I just wanted to add, I joined a little late, so I hope I'm not repeating what others have said, but as a mom of very young children, I love the idea of having a place to go in the winter when right now there's places like the Boys and Girls Club or the Senior Center, and there's other venues for different age groups where kind of the under 5 doesn't have a space to go. And you'll see a lot of parents actually use our airport to allow their kids to run up and down the aisles there because there's really no other place to go. So I just wanted to add that commentary that I think something that's available in the winter for younger kids would really benefit our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Okay, I believe that covers everybody who was looking to have a comment.
May I comment?
Yes.
My name is Joe School. And it really comes down to weatherproofing activity. We just need it to be weatherproof. It's not only weather, but it's also time. So when the wintertime, the sun goes down at, I don't know, 3:34, and we can't, when they get off of work, they can't go and do an activity.
Right.
What has not been brought up here is the men's soccer league on Sunday. They go out there every Sunday. They have several teams. Their families all show up. And the one thing that I noticed out there is when the men's team is playing soccer, not one person is on their phone because they're watching the game or they're socializing. So I think that's a big thing. But I think it comes down to weatherproofing activity.
Thank you.
I'd like to.
Can you just state your name?
Nice. Lots of people speaking about this, babe. I'm psyched.
Sorry, I missed.
That's great.
Sancheva. I live 20 years. I moved from Bulgaria. I have 2 boys, very active. They're soccer players and tennis players. My husband is actually on the NRSA board and I have it for years. But I don't play paddle or padel. The boys have no place to practice. And to add, yes, I have a lot of things that are repeating, but to add something new is the teenagers are not going to the Boys and Girls Club. That's just not something that teens do. Once you hit 13, 14, you're way too old for that crowd. There's no space for you either. And it's all like really small kids. And yes, when my kids were really small, as Christy said, we were letting them run in the airport. So the biggest concern, mental health for teens, get them off the screen, off drugs, or not getting to drugs because they're bored. It's just so many things that would be great for you guys to consider. I work for Maine, Nantucket, but I just think as a citizen, anything you guys want to do a study, I'm sure that you can also afford it, but Maine does that too. I'm very happy to work with Justin, hopefully, and Jill meet in the future. We really have to get that going, and I really hope that you're overriding your decision from years ago.
see the concerns for our kids, for ourselves in the winter. There's no light, there's nothing for me to do. And it's just a big, break for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. I heard everybody today.
Facility that can let us practice in the baseball team can get going for early spring training and stuff like that when it's March and rainy. There's a lot of places that tied to the school, where people available for a sports team.
Okay, so we got some public comment. The commission got a good feel for there's some public interest out there. And from here, I think Rachel will take it and do the research to see what is able within our acts. And we will get an update on that, and it will be posted on our agenda when we have more information. So thank you all for coming, and thank you all for attending. We'll move on. Okay, we have transfer business. One release of lien.
A vote to approve this. We vote the transfers.
Well, yeah, but we should probably vote to authorize.
I would vote to authorize me.
Who would like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Not so vote to authorize Rachel to research.
I'll write that.
That's first. A second. All those in favor? Aye.
No transfer business.
Now transfer business.
Sorry, I was.
Do I have a vote for the transfer business?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, do I have approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of June 10th, 2025? Motion approved. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, so then that's for Alan. Sign. And then we get into consent items. We have the financial report from May, the warrant authorization, which I am recusing from. On various properties, property use, Strong Wings Adventure School. Does anybody have any questions on the consent items? All those in favor? Aye.
Oh, I think that might be Christine.
Oh, that's me. That's me.
Oh,
You did your
perfect.
part. There you go. Okay, so we voted on the consent items. And the last thing is commissioners' additional questions and concerns.
One question, a comment on when we're doing all this. Good thing we have closed caption on
Yeah.
these things, because it would be impossible.
Yeah, thank you. I was really struggling and then told me that I should look at the screen.
Yeah, it was hard for all of us to
All of
hear.
us.
Really?
Closed caption.
Yeah, what I'm just.
It's not just
It
the
wasn't just,
deadline?
it wasn't you at all, I was reading.
I was interested to hear somebody from the Park and Rec who would be doing this, not us.
I have a comment about the stone at the Bamboo Forest on Connecticut Road. There's a rock that is actually on town property. And it's pretty close to the road. If somebody's backing out of there or going in or something, I'm just wondering if that could be moved in another couple of feet or something.
I have actually talked to Drew Patton about that because it was brought to our attention by a citizen call. And so I recommended that to him. I can certainly bring it up with him again. It turns out there's actually a spring there, which is causing a problem, but there might be another opportunity for them to manage that in a different way.
So that's a town
It's a
rock.
town rock.
Town rock.
Yes, and we asked them to move it because it's kind of a risk. It's a
It's a-
hazard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been brought to my attention. One thing that I thought of when I was going by that you may suggest is a post as opposed to a rock. Because people can't necessarily see the rock in the cars at night and not.
I will follow up again.
How about the chain on Washington Street? What time it came down?
Yeah, we were talking about, we can take it down tomorrow, literally tomorrow, if you wanted us to. We talked about it at the task meeting on Monday morning and thought that we would take it down, at the beginning of the week of July 4th, which would be like the 30th of June,
Next Monday.
next Monday. We're just trying to give those guys as much time as possible to finish their project. They're not gonna be done until the middle of July, but I'm happy, we can take it down tomorrow if you would prefer. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very
So it'll be done by next Monday.
Anything else? Oh, so we're gonna close that out and I will read it
first.
Um,
I'm getting kicked out.
yes, so we are entering an executive session.
Make an observation. The select board, the water commission, other groups have packets attached to their agenda, so we know what's going on. I mean, to try to make any sense of what I saw here is impossible, so I would suggest in the future, you could consider doing the packet, just like the select board is.
We were just trying to
What's
conserve.
going on, what's the info, and
Our packet's online, so it's all online, but we can certainly have a feel.
well, even if there's a way to show us an attachment, I didn't know something. If you could just say, there's a packet.
Sure, okay, thank you.
Actually, I didn't know our packet was
On our website, on our website.
Yeah, our minutes, our commission packet, our agenda, all of it's right there.
So would it be possible to have that in the agenda?
Yeah.
With a link?
We could also leave it in the agenda. We could also just print out a couple, like one or two.
Yeah.
We don't usually have a lot of people here.
We used to when we threw away so much paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one or two.
I think the other ones that have the link right here. So when you get the agenda in the email or you go online and get it from the town, you can click on that, which will bring it to our website.
We could also post the packet possibly with the town, like they post our agenda. Might be a better place to find it. They've never offered that to us, but
Yeah, we could post it with our agenda.
I mean, they could put it up
Yeah.
after, yeah.
Right, yeah.
That might be a better place for
I
people
think
to
that's
find it.
probably easier. If
I'll
you're
ask.
looking for the agenda, you download the agenda and then there it is.
I mean, the packet often isn't quite done at the same time the agenda gets posted, but.
So you're right, it's not.
There's
Yeah.
some way to do it because NPEDC, we get the list and we get links to everything. And so we can just click, 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 and you get the agenda and you get everything
That's
else.
cool way.
Look, we did.
Look at that.
We are entering an executive session for the following purposes. Purpose 7, to approve executive session minutes. Purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, and discussing it in open session may have a detrimental effect on litigation position of the land bank. Purpose 6, to consider the purpose, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Discussions in open meeting may have a detrimental effect on negotiating position of the land bank. All votes in executive session must be roll call. Open session shall not reconvene at the conclusion of executive session.
Okay, so let me close the
Make a
webinar.
motion for the executive session.
Second, all those in favor? Aye.
Taking that away.
I'm going to give it right back. Get closed caption for executive